Hey everybody, it's Mark Yegge. I hope you're doing well. There's a big AI trade going on, right? It's no secret. And I want to talk to you about the big elephant in the room that nobody is really talking about, but I'm starting to hear some rumors and things like that. So I started looking into it and did a deep dive, and I think you're going to be interested in what's going on. And you might make this as a warning to yourself for what could happen. I have no idea if it's going to happen, but I want to at least make you aware. It's called the MAG-7 footnote debt problem, and that is, I'm not saying these MAG-7 companies, the big ones, Apple, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, Tesla. I'm not saying they're insolvent, right? What I am saying is that the footnotes at the bottom of these reports are things that we got to pay attention to. And what I mean by that is there's three kinds of accounting the way I look at it. There's the real accounting, there's the GAAP accounting, which is these formats, and that allows footnotes. And then there's the stuff that they don't talk about. And that's what I'm going to be talking about here a bit. It's footnotes also, but it's footnotes brought to light. So let me set the stage here, right? I'm a big AI person. I believe in it. I think it's the future. And so do a lot of these big companies, and maybe so do you. And I don't think you're wrong. And there's a big AI trade that's very bubblicious right now, and it is blowing up. And there are some problems in some of the semiconductors, and there are some problems with some of the storage. They've gone up so much, they're going to correct. Now, are they going to continue to go up? Well, let me put this in perspective. So this pie chart right here just kind of tells you the story of where future commitment debt, okay, is shaping up. All right, now I'm going to whip through this. I'm not going to be very wonky. I'm not going to go through a lot of numbers. But the other day, something called Kimi K came out. It's a company called Moonshot. It's a Chinese company. It's an open source or open weight model, which means it's basically open to the public. You can download it on your computer if you have a computer big enough. The compute is actually cheaper than Fable or ChatGPT 5.6 per benchmark, right? So it's actually works out to be a much better deal for anybody that's running a big frontier model. And now I think this is a frontier model. This is Chinese open weight model that's just as good as some of our closed models like ChatGPT and Claude. And does this change the landscape for us? Let me whip through this, and I'm not going to go into all the math because I don't think you need it. But what happens is these companies are all going out and they're building data centers, and they're investing huge in AIs, in chips, in computers, in RAM, in energy, in build out. And that's not going on their books just yet, because the way GAAP reports, generally accepted accounting principle, makes you report numbers, is it says it's not really a debt until it's active or current. And so in the legal sense, it's a commitment, but it's not on the books yet. It will be on the books when they open a data center, for example, when they, make it in process, and now that debt actually goes on the books and starts to become active. Well, that's not disclosed right now on the books in the numbers. You're not seeing it. That's a problem. So, and I just mentioned what's going on with the hyperscalers. They're locking in data centers, power supplies and agreements, chips, cloud capacity, all these things. We're spending a huge amount on capital expenditures. But the debt is no longer the whole obligation story. You got to remember that now there's a competitive landscape. Like these Chinese models, which are much cheaper, are putting pressure on the expensive models. So Fable, which is Claude, and ChatGPT, which is OpenAI, they had valuations a couple of months ago of over $1 trillion, or approaching that. Now, estimates are that they're worth a quarter of that. Why is that? Well, because a couple of things they've done wrong, because some government scrutiny, and there's Chinese models. All right, you get that so far, right? Now there's a competitive thing squeezing down the amount of money they're going to be able to charge us, because if they charge us too much, we're just going to go to the Chinese model. I know it's the Chinese and we don't like the Chinese and they're going to steal all our data. I know all that stuff, but I'm talking about competition. When it comes down to spending a ton of money on a good model, or less than a ton of money, maybe half, on a pretty darn good model, maybe even as good, but it's half the money. The half the money is going to talk. That's competition. That's the way the world has always worked. And so the market usually prices the headline first, The headline is we're spending a bunch of money on CapEx to build out AI data centers. But what they're not doing is putting the headline that we're issuing obligations as well that we're going to have to pay at some point. And so let me go through about $810 billion sits in the future commitment lens. More money that's ever been spent in a cluster for one thing ever, right? And so you're seeing these big seven, Microsoft and Amazon are the two big winners. Microsoft is totally software dependent, right? That's a problem because some of these AIs are writing software that's better than the software they've got. Maybe they've got the moat that still will defend it for a few years, but they're totally software dependent. Amazon, to an extent, is dependent on software with AWS, but you and I buy stuff on Amazon, so that's their moat. Then you've got Google. Their moat is search, for example, right? And so, that's an issue. And then you've got Meta, which is not really one of the frontier models. Then you got Apple, which isn't really spending too much money at all on data centers. And then you got NVIDIA, which runs the whole show. Anyway, you're seeing $810 billion. Let me go a little faster. Here's the AI build out from these companies. So you've got the black bars are basically saying what's on the balance sheet, and the blue bars are saying what's not on the balance sheet. Like, that's a problem, right? That changes the numbers considerably. Look at those numbers, guys. All right. Microsoft, the clearest AI obligation stack, debt principal. We've got on balance operating lease stuff. We've got commitments, construction. We've got leases and commercial. We've got purchase commitments, right? So these are all things that are coming up and that are going to affect valuation. Now, the cool thing is, and I'll go a little bit quicker here, is you've got all these things happening after 2030 for Amazon of $440 billion. That's all great and everything, but if all of a sudden the revenue doesn't come that you were expecting because now we have premature Chinese models or even our own open weight models which might be created, we have problems. They're not going to make as much money on the money they spent to build all this stuff. AWS is the engine behind the capital load, but look at that increased spending, right? And then you've got Meta. The footnote showed the financing structure. CapEx is only one slice of the infrastructure obligation picture. And then Alphabet, purchase commitments are the headline, right? Technical infrastructure orders dominate the short-term commitment profile. Like, all of these guys are trying to outspend each other, and it's not even on the books. Apple is like probably the silent winner because they're not going to be spending all this money. They're letting everybody else spending, and then they license it from them. Like, they're licensing Siri to Google, right? Vice versa. They're getting the data and the operation from the AI of Google to run Siri. Well, Siri needs it, right? And then NVIDIA, look at how low their CapEx is because they're investing in companies and that kind of thing. And then Tesla has got data centers they want to put in outer space, and they won't have to do energy build out. They just got to put up some rockets and data centers, which is the infrastructure they already have. Okay, so what's the scorecard of what to watch in this earnings cycle and the future earnings cycle? Well, what's the CapEx guide versus the free cash flows? Like, what is it? Are they coming out with this stuff? Because soon when they open these data centers, they're going to have to. What's not yet commenced lease growth? What are the purchase commitments? What are the useful life assumptions? From what I understand, these AI chips are good for about 4 years. After that, you can kind of toss them in the garbage. I don't know. That seems kind of crazy to me. And I heard somebody say that, you might turn these data centers in 4 years into pickleball courts. I don't know, maybe expensive pickleball courts. And then these are revenue-proof numbers. So I don't know if they're revenue-proof or if the revenue is going to be an issue. Maybe with AWS, people are going to need more data center stuff. So that's a good thing. But gosh, if you're trying to bank on the fact that you're putting money into AI and you're getting less revenue, and I'm not saying Amazon is, but that's something you got to look at. And then what does the credit market look at? So the key phrase from what I'm trying to talk about here is this. The companies with the largest checkbooks can overcommit if the future cash yield on AI capacity falls below the cost of locking it in. But what if it doesn't? Now, is there a big bubble, a big deflation? You got to watch that. And I'm just giving you the warning. I'm not saying it's going to happen or not. So what are the cases you can look at? Well, in a bull case, You could say AI demand absorbs capacity. Everything's great, margins hold, and all that kind of stuff. The bear case, which to me it seems to be playing out with the devaluation of the IPOs of Anthropic and OpenAI, there's already valuation coming out. So there's already a bear case being made. And here we do covered calls. It's called the cash flow machine. We buy the stocks and we sell calls. And a lot of times we recommend you sell them deep in the money. Don't buy the story, right? The story is not about how AI is this infinite trade. There might be some trouble. I'm just trying to show you some of the potholes in the road. And so expensive AI stories can be good income candidates. And that's what we want is income. That's why we trade the income. And we try to be really conservative to do it. It doesn't always work, as you're probably seeing from my SpaceX trade these days, but it's still a conservative way to control some of your risk. So this was something we just talked about in our mastermind group. It was a great beginning of a discussion that will start to unfold as we go through. I thought maybe you could benefit from it, so that's why I'm putting it up. But thanks for joining me, and I'll see you on the next video. Be careful out there. Not everything is as it seems. Some things are off the balance sheet. You got to watch out. See you next time. The information you just heard is for education and information. This is not financial advice.